Hello YouTube, let's take a quick look at what transpired in the Hungarian GP F1. Max and Lewis come into contact. They have a very big crash, and we're going to take a look, and we have to hear from you. What do you think? Who is to blame? If you just take a look at what happened, who would you say was to blame? Was it Lewis? Was it Max? It's going to the stewards after the race so that they discuss who is to blame and what really transpired. Now, if you look at this, it was a corner, of course, right? This is how it started. Max had to lock up. It's a corner they need to turn, and Max seemed to be going straight, and Lewis was still on his way going into the corner. So would you say Lewis was to blame, or Max knew he wasn't going to make a corner? Why did he even attempt that move? Because he was so desperate. He's been trying to pass Lewis, and it just seemed it was tough. We have seen that other teams have caught up to Red Bull. They are becoming strong. Yes, though Red Bull may still be faster than Mercedes, look what happened. And there he is, he runs off, and there he is, he goes into the run off and probably loses more time. Now let's look even in a different angle what happened. You can see for yourself right there. There is a corner where he needs to take a corner and start turning, but he never does that. You see that? So that's where the problem is, and then he ends up airborne. Now let's go into the comments. Let's talk about this. Who is to blame? Will the stewards call it a racing incident? Lewis said, well, racing incident. Max had to blame Lewis. No, Lewis was turning, but of course it was a corner. Let me show you another angle which proves that these two guys, they were both turning, but the helicopter shot, it did not show that. The helicopter shot, it was kind of showing that they are still going straight. Okay, I understand why the helicopter shot looks as though they were going straight. As you can see, they were turning already. When we go a little bit back right there, you can see they are already into the corner turning. This is where now it shows that of course they were going into the corner. You see that? They were both pointing into, but Max, anyway, look at this. It shows as though Max goes to the right. Now let's take a look at this angle. You can see right now that it now shows that they were both turning. You can see Max clearly turning. You can even see Lewis clearly turning. Now this is where now it's tricky, that it would be hard. It's gonna be a lot of work for the stewards, because they were both turning into the corner, but that lockup caused Max to continue going straight when they were supposed to be both turning, as we saw in this clip. So what do you think? Moving on, let's talk about McLaren. That was crazy though. Alright, we understand Piastri, if he had been stopped first, he was still going to come back into the lead and probably win the race. But my point in doing so, let's look at first of all the standings in the championship. Do you see that? This is what McLaren should be looking at. Prioritize one driver. Red Bull have one driver. Should they go from now until end of the season with just Max always ahead of Perez? They're in a good position to get the championship. But if McLaren and Mercedes, they don't have one driver, they let the two drivers keep taking points from each other, that would be horrible. And there will be no catching Max. Constructors, look at the constructors. That is possible. But for the drivers' championship, it's not gonna be easy to catch up with Max. So McLaren, what they should do is to just say, all right, PS3 next year, look at the point gaps that we have. Let's give all the points to Norris. Then next year, let them start afresh. That is how I take this. If another driver has to win this year, so Norris has to be given priority to always be ahead of Oscar Piastri. That's what other teams have to do. Find one driver, put them as priority. And now let's look at Mercedes. Mercedes are very far to catch up with Max in drivers championship. It's just literally more like out. Can I call it more like an impossibility? Because it would mean Lewis or Russell to win all the remaining races, and then you have Max having bad races, finishing 7th, 8th, stuff like that. But we know Red Bull, the car is not that bad to be finishing like that. So what do you think? Am I right that these teams should always have one driver when the race is so close like this? We have seen George Russell, like Piastri, they are not stable drivers. They are still young, so they need more experience. Norris should be number one. Lewis should be number one to try to chase Max. Though, yes, like I said, it's just not possible. So, what do you think? But what I think is these teams must look at the championship, not drivers claiming wins, stuff like that. Forget about all that. It's about the drivers championship. So subscribe and let me hear in the comments, what do you think? What should McLaren do? What should Mercedes do? What should Red Bull do? Because McLaren is closing in the constructors and Perez is not doing enough. Should Red Bull bring in another driver? Let's see in the comment. What do you think? Subscribe and goodbye.